For the next few days, Jude felt a little unsteady, adrift. A bullet had been dodged, there was no doubt about that. Lexi had somehow convinced Zach to follow through on the plans that had been made. It should have been a more than satisfactory conclusion, and it was, but like all compromises, something had been lost by everyone. There was a fissure in this house now, a resentment that was new. Jude couldn't remember when Zach had been so angry at her. Zach, her pliable, lovable boy, had become a surly, angry teenager who slouched in his chair and mumbled his sentences. He was pissed at his sister and his mother, and maybe at Lexi, who knew, and he wanted everyone to know it. Jude had tried to give him space. In the days since the blow-up, she'd walked carefully around him, treated him with exaggerated care, but the price to her was high. She simply couldn't stand being on the outs with her children. Last night, she'd hardly slept at all for worrying about it. Instead, she'd lain in bed, staring up at the ceiling, envisioning one conversation after another. In her imaginings, she and Zach always ended up laughing about their differences, and he rededicated himself to USC and his sister. Sometimes he even finished with, "I know how young we are, Madre. Don't worry so much. It's cool. Thanks." Now she stood at her bedroom window, staring out at her backyard as evening fell across the water. Tonight was the last big high school party of the year, the grad barbecue. Truth be told, she didn't want to let them go. There was so much unresolved between them, so many things to discuss. But she knew nothing would be solved tonight, and if she denied them this party, they'd never speak to her again. But tomorrow they were going to work through all this drama and get back on track. This was their last year together. She'd be damned if they'd spend it like strangers. "Mom?" Mia said, knocking at her bedroom door and opening it wide. "Can I talk to you?" That was fast becoming a dangerous sentence. Jude turned, forced a smile. "Of course, honey." Mia looked beautiful in the bright, late afternoon light. She was dressed for the party in a pair of ragged, cut-off jeans with carefully placed holes, a tight white t-shirt, and a vintage men's paisley vest that hung off her slim shoulders. Her hair had been drawn back from her face in a loose ponytail. Several red, metallic baby barrettes held the tiny wisps out of her eyes. "You look sad." "I'm fine." Mia came up beside Jude, put an gorb around her waist, and leaned against her. Side by side, supported by each other, they stared out the window. "He loves her, Mom." "What does that—" Mia turned, tilted her face up. "He loves her." Jude fell silent. For the first time, the words actually resonated. Love. All this time, she'd minimized it, trimmed its sails because of their age. She'd told herself they were too young to understand their own lives. But it was true, their love. It might not last, but it was real. "I'm breaking them up, making him go to school with me. And you know what the worst part is? They've stuck with me." Jude touched her daughter's cheek, seeing the pain in her eyes. This daughter of hers is so sensitive. "Of course they have. They'll always be there for you." "I need to be there for them, too. That's the point." "You are." "I'm not going to USC, Mom. The three of us can go to community college and get an apartment." "Mia!" "If you and Dad won't pay for it, we'll get jobs. It's the right thing to do, Madre. You always said nothing mattered more than love and family. Did you mean it?"
Mia, we've paid deposits, made commitments. It's not this simple. You can't just— The sound of footsteps in the hallway interrupted them. Zach came into the room. "There you are, Mia. It's time to go." "Mom and I are talking," Mia said. Zach rolled his eyes. "Just tell her you'll do what she wants. That's the A answer for Team Faraday." "That's not fair, Zach," Jude said. She felt unsettled, as if everything was unspooling around her, falling free, rolling away, and she couldn't find anything to hold on to. "Fair?" Zach said. "Is that what matters now? You used to say you wanted us to be happy, but that's only true when we do what you want us to do." He looked at Mia. "Let's go." We have to pick up Lexi, and I don't want to be late to the party." On that, he turned his back on them and strode out of the room. "Gotta go, Madre." Mia gave Jude a last sad smile and followed her brother. "Wait!" Jude called out, hurrying after her daughter, following her to the front door. Outside, she could see the Mustang, hear its engine roar to life. "We'll talk tomorrow," Jude said to Mia. "This decision about USC is not made." "Yes, it is," Mia gave her a bright smile. "Forgive me?" "No, I do not forgive you," Jude said. "And sweet talking won't work this time. This isn't over. You have to think about your futures." "I'm sorry, Mom, but it kinda is. Love you." Mia gave Jude a kiss on the cheek and then ran out to the car. "I want you home by 1 o'clock, Jude said, following her daughter. It was too small, not really what she wanted to say at all, but it was all she had now. Tomorrow they would have a serious talk, all three of them. "At 1:02, I'm calling the police or driving over." At the car, Mia hugged her mother fiercely. "We'll be home," she promised. "And no drinking," Jude said. She leaned down to see her son through the car window. "Zach, you're the designated driver, no matter what. That's our deal." "I know," he said tightly. She had to add, "If anything happens, yeah, we'll call home for a ride. Come on, Mia, Lexi's waiting." "Be home by 1, Jude said again, stepping back, watching them drive off. "I mean it," she said, but there was no one beside her to hear the words. Driving too fast, music blaring through the car, Zach turned onto Night Road. Lexi slid into the car door at every hairpin turn. "Slow down," Mia yelled from the back seat, but Zach just cranked up the music. "Yeah" by Usher was at the edge of pain. Got so caught up I forgot. When they got to the party, there were already more than a dozen cars parked in the clearing. Zach pulled the key out of the ignition and dropped it in the well between the seats. "I need something to drink," he said, getting out of the car. Lexi got out of the car and went to him. "But you're the DD." "I know that, and I know my limits. You're not my mom." He pulled away from her and strode toward the party. Lexi didn't know what to do. Mia came up beside her. "He's pissed." "At me?" Mia shrugged. "At you, me, my parents, himself, everyone. He doesn't know what he wants, and it's killing him. He's always been like that. When things come easily, Zach's cool, but when he's confused or hurting, he loses it. Sometimes he yells, and sometimes he shuts up. This time, he's yelling. He's especially mad at Mom and me. You guys would be crazy to give up USC for a crappy apartment and classes at a community college. He'll see that." Mia took her by the hand, and they headed down the driveway. Deep in the woods, they found the small log cabin that was one of the island's original homesteads. A big bonfire danced front of the beach. Beside it stood a pair of silver kegs. Over to the left, someone was grilling hot dogs. Mia and Lexi stood at the perimeter of the party, talking. All around them, kids were laughing and dancing and drinking. Out on the water, a pair of jet skis buzzed and raced. Music blared out from a boombox on the porch. The air smelled of pine trees and wood smoke and marijuana. As they stood there, Tyler walked past them. Elena Smith was draped all over him, hanging on him. He had his hand on her ass. Mia drew in a sharp breath. Wiping her eyes, she walked over to the keg and got herself a beer, downing it as fast as she could. "Are you okay?" Lexi asked. "Just stay with me," Mia said shakily. "Don't let me be alone. I might make a fool of myself." "I'd never let you be alone," Lexi promised. She got a beer, and even though she hated the taste, it softened her somehow, and Mia too, and in no time they were smiling again and making jokes. When she finished her second beer, Mia said, "We need Zach. I have a surprise for you two, something to tell you. Meet me on the beach." She headed into the crowd before Lexi could stop her, and that was cool, because Lexi didn't want to stop her. As much as she loved being with her best friend, she wanted Zach here too. This was their graduation party, the last one before the big day, and the three of them should be together. Lexi headed down to the beach and sat in the sand, waiting. "There you are," Zach said a few minutes later, sitting down beside her. "I've been looking all over for you." Where's Mia? She went looking for you." Zach shrugged and handed her a bottle of rum. "Here." "Hey, you're not supposed to be drinking," Lexi said. "Last one, I promise. Here." She hated to drink like this without mixers or anything, but she didn't want to upset him, so she took a sip. "She doesn't give a shit about what I want," he said and lifted the bottle to his mouth again. Lexi didn't know if he was talking about his mother or his sister, but it didn't really matter either way. "Yes, she does." He took another long drink, handed it to her. "Maybe I don't give a shit what she wants." Lexi sighed. "Yes, you do." He looked at her, his eyes wild. "I love you so much." She knew exactly what he was feeling. It was the universe of her own emotions. She was afraid of watching him go. He was afraid of letting her stay. "I know," was all she could say. She believed him now, believed in his love, and that was everything. They needed to be strong for each other, and she would be the one to start. "I'll never stop loving you, Zach." In a taut voice, he said, "Come here," and took her hand and led her deep into the woods. There, they kissed and undressed and made love in a way that was new, sad maybe, and a little rough, with their bodies communicating all the difficult words they couldn't say. When it was over and they lay there, spent, staring up at the starlit sky, Lexi reached for the rum bottle and drank until their future didn't seem so sharp and a nice fuzziness blurred the edges. Finally, unsteady on their feet, they left the copse of trees and returned to the party, which was now completely out of control. There were more than 100 kids there, talking, laughing, dancing. Boys were tossing a football back and forth. A bunch of people were gathered around the kegs. More stood around the huge bonfire. On the cabin, a sign read, "Class of 2004, goodbye and good luck." Mia shrieked when she saw them and stumbled towards them. "Where were you guys?" she said, handing Lexi a half-empty bottle of rum. "This is our night, the three of us, okay?" They stood there, a little drunk, staring at one another, an island in a sea of seniors. Mia reached out for Zach's hand, then for Lexi's, and with that touch, the connection returned. They were them again. "Let's party," Zach said, smiling at his sister. Lexi could see the love between these two, and as much as it hurt to know that they would leave her, she was glad the fight was over. They needed this last summer together. They merged into the party and became a part of it, laughing, drinking, dancing, until the moon rose in a dark sky and the air turned cold. By 2 o'clock in the morning, the party was winding down. Kids lay sprawled on the ground, on the grass, on the porch. Mia started to say something and stopped. What was I saying?" Zach laughed drunkenly. "You said you had a surprise for us. You've been saying it all night. What is it?" "Ha! That's right." And Mia fell sideways. Her head smacked on a rock and she moaned, "Shit, that hurt." Lexi helped Mia sit back up. "She's bleeding, Zach." They all burst into laughter at that. Lexi tried to use her sleeve to wipe the blood off Mia's forehead, but her balance was off and she kept poking Mia in the eye instead, and Mia just laughed harder. Mia lurched up suddenly and stood there, swaying. "Oh, man." She clamped a hand over her mouth for a second and then stumbled sideways, falling to her knees in the sand and vomiting. The retching sound and the smell made Lexi almost sick too, but she went to Mia anyway, held her hair back. "I am so hammered," Mia finally said, wiping her mouth with her sleeve and sitting back on her heels. Zach lurched toward them. He was so unsteady he tripped over a stone and fell down. "Is she okay?" "It's time to go," Mia said. "Mom'll kill us if we're late. What time is it?" 2:10, Lexi said, squinting at her watch. She thought that was right. The numbers were dancing and blurring. "Oh, shit!" Zach staggered to his feet. "We gotta go." They made their weaving, unsteady way up the bank and across the grassy lawn, stepping around the bodies of their passed-out classmates. Mia stepped on someone's arm and laughed, yelled, "Oops, sorry." As they staggered to the car, it hit Lexi. Zach was drunk. She turned to him. He stood there, swaying like a palm tree in the trade winds, his eyes closed. Then she looked at Mia, who was puking again. Blood was dripping down the side of her face. You can't drive, Lexi said to Zach. Mia got closer to the car and bent forward like a rag doll, pressing her cheek against the hood. Call Mom, she said. She dug in her pocket for her phone, dropped it on the ground. Lexi picked up the phone. No way, Zach said. Last time she practically grounded us. Hish right, Mia said. Let's just go. Lexi tried to concentrate, but she couldn't. All she could really think about was that they should call Jude. But what would Jude think of Lexi then? What if Eva found out about this? Lexi had promised to be good, and here she was at a party again. Mia shivered violently. I'm freezing, Zach Attack. Where's my coat? And my head hurts. Why does my head hurt? We should sleep here, Lexi said. Mom would kill us, Zach said, stumbling forward, slamming into his car. He wrenched the driver's door open and fell into the seat. The keys were in the well. He searched around, swearing, and then laughed. Got him! Get out of there, Zach. You're too drunk to drive. Lexi walked around the driver's side of the car, trying not to stumble or fall. Mia, help me, Lexi said. Tell Zach he's too drunk to drive. It's only a mile, Mia said, and Mom did flip out last time we called. I can do it, Zach said, smiling sloppily. Come on, Mia moaned, wiping more blood from her forehead. She opened the car door and fell into the back seat. Ouch, she said, laughing, and then curled up into a fetal position on the seat. Zach slipped the key into the ignition and started the engine, which roared to life in the quiet darkness. Come on, Lex, it's no big deal. Let's go. I don't know, Lexi said, shaking her head. The movement pushed her off balance and made her fall forward. She hit the side of the car. Wait, I gotta think. This isn't a good idea.